Most adults over 50 ignore this early brain warning sign, not because they don't care, not because they're careless, but because it often looks so ordinary. You walk into a room and suddenly forget why you went there. You lose your train of thought in the middle of a sentence. You search for a familiar word and it just won't come. You misplace your glasses again. You forget names you normally remember. And like millions of people over 50, you tell yourself, it's probably just aging. But what if your brain is trying to tell you something? What if these small changes aren't simply about getting older? And what if recognizing them early could help protect your brain for years to come? Today, we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked early warning signs many adults over 50 experience, and why ignoring it may not be the best idea. Because healthy aging doesn't mean accepting brain fog, constant forgetfulness, or feeling mentally off. And understanding what's happening could be one of the most important things you do for your future. Why people assume it's normal aging. One of the biggest misconceptions about growing older is believing that memory problems are unavoidable. People expect wrinkles. They expect slower recovery. They expect aches and pains. And somewhere along the way, many begin expecting their minds to decline too. So when small memory lapses appear, they don't pay attention. They laugh it off. They blame stress. Or they simply say, well, I'm over 50. This happens to everyone. But healthy aging doesn't automatically mean losing your mental sharpness. In fact, many people remain mentally active and independent well into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. The brain changes with age. That's normal. Processing speed may become slightly slower. You might need more time to recall information, but constantly feeling mentally foggy, forgetting things more often, or feeling like your brain isn't functioning the way it used to, those changes deserve attention. Because your brain doesn't suddenly change overnight. Often, it whispers long before it screams. And one of the earliest whispers many people ignore is persistent brain fog. The early warning sign many people miss. Brain fog isn't an official disease. It's a description. People often say, I just don't feel as sharp anymore. Something feels off. I can't think clearly. My memory isn't what it used to be. I know what I want to say, but I can't find the words. Sometimes they describe it as feeling mentally tired all day. Other times, they feel disconnected or distracted. Tasks that once felt simple suddenly require more effort. Concentration becomes harder. Multitasking feels overwhelming, and they begin forgetting little things more often. The problem is that brain fog develops slowly. It doesn't arrive dramatically. It creeps in. And because the change has happened gradually, many people adapt without realizing something has changed. But persistent brain fog is often the brain's way of saying something needs attention. Not necessarily dementia, not necessarily Alzheimer's, but something. And the earlier you listen, the better. Your brain may be exhausted, not just aging. One surprising fact is that many memory complaints after 50 are related to brain exhaustion rather than irreversible decline. Your brain uses enormous amounts of energy, and when your body is under stress, poor sleep, inflammation, blood sugar swings, or lack of physical activity, your brain feels it too. Think of your brain like a smartphone battery. If the battery isn't charging properly, the phone slows down, apps freeze, performance drops. That doesn't mean the phone is broken. It means it needs support. The same thing can happen inside your body. Chronic stress, sleep problems, sedentary lifestyle, poor nutrition, loneliness, depression, even dehydration. All of these can affect memory and concentration. In fact, researchers have found that sleep quality alone plays a major role in brain health. During deep sleep, the brain clears waste products and strengthens memories. When sleep becomes poor, mental clarity often suffers. And many adults over 50 don't realize that years of poor sleep may be affecting their minds every day. Well, everyone forgets things occasionally. That's normal. But certain patterns deserve more attention. For example, if you frequently lose your train of thought, if you repeatedly forget conversations, if you struggle to focus on tasks you once handled easily, if you constantly feel mentally tired, if words are harder to find, if you enter rooms and forget why you're there several times a day, if your thinking feels slower than usual, if family members have started noticing changes, or if these issues seem to be getting worse instead of better. These aren't reasons to panic, but they are reasons to pay attention, because your brain health deserves the same care as your heart or blood pressure. Ignoring warning signs doesn't make them disappear. Awareness gives you options, and options are powerful. The hidden causes many people never consider. Sometimes memory problems have surprisingly simple explanations. Vitamin B12 deficiency, poor sleep, stress, anxiety, depression, medication side effects, thyroid problems, blood sugar issues, high blood pressure, hearing loss, lack of exercise, even dehydration. Researchers have discovered that hearing loss itself may increase the amount of effort the brain spends trying to process sounds, leaving fewer resources available for memory and concentration. Something as simple as untreated hearing difficulties can make people feel mentally exhausted. Likewise, chronic stress floods the body with stress hormones, and over time, those hormones can interfere with memory, focus, and mood, which is why understanding the root cause matters, because sometimes the brain isn't failing, it's overwhelmed. One movement matters more than people realize. One of the most powerful things you can do for your brain doesn't involve puzzles or supplements. It's movement, walking, stretching, gardening, swimming, dancing, anything that gets your body moving. Physical activity improves blood flow to the brain. It helps regulate blood sugar. It supports healthy blood vessels. And it may encourage the growth of new brain connections. Studies consistently show that regular exercise is associated with better cognitive health later in life. You don't need intense workouts. You don't need to become a marathon runner. Even a daily walk can make a meaningful difference, because movement isn't just good for your muscles, it's nourishment for your brain. Your social life affects your memory too. Another factor many people underestimate is loneliness. Humans are wired for connection, and social isolation doesn't only affect emotional health. It can affect brain health too. Conversations challenge the brain. Relationships stimulate memory. Laughing with friends reduces stress. Sharing experiences keeps the mind engaged. But after retirement, loss of loved ones, or lifestyle changes, many adults find themselves spending more time alone. Without realizing it, mental stimulation decreases. The mind becomes quieter. And feelings of isolation can contribute to depression, stress, and brain fog. This doesn't mean you need dozens of friends. Sometimes one meaningful conversation can make a difference. Connection matters, because the brain thrives when life remains connected and purposeful. Small daily habits can add up. Many people hope for one magic solution, but brain health is usually built through small habits repeated consistently. Sleep, movement, nutrition, stress management, hydration, social connection, mental stimulation. These things work together, and they don't have to be perfect. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start with one change. Take a daily walk. Drink more water. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Call an old friend. Read more. Learn something new. Little actions repeated over time can create powerful results, because brain health isn't decided in a single day. It's shaped by daily choices. When to talk to your doctor. There's an important difference between normal forgetfulness and symptoms that interfere with daily life. If memory changes are becoming more frequent, if they are affecting work, finances, driving, or managing medications, if family members have noticed changes, if confusion is increasing, or if you simply feel that something isn't right, speak with your healthcare provider. Early evaluation doesn't mean something terrible is happening. It means you're taking your health seriously. And many causes of memory problems are treatable or manageable when addressed early. The goal isn't fear, it's awareness. Because waiting rarely creates better outcomes. Early attention often does. Most adults over 50 ignore this early brain warning sign because it seems harmless. They assume feeling foggy is normal. They blame age. They tell themselves they'll deal with it later. But your brain deserves better than being ignored. Feeling mentally sharp isn't about being young. It's about giving your brain the support it needs. And the good news is that many factors affecting memory and mental clarity are within your control. So if you've been feeling more forgetful lately, if your brain feels slower, if something simply feels different, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. Listen to what your brain may be trying to tell you, because growing older doesn't mean giving up on mental clarity. And sometimes, paying attention early is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. If you found this helpful, remember, small changes today may help protect your brain tomorrow. And if you're over 50 and have experienced brain fog or memory lapses, you're certainly not alone.
Before we conclude, a quick reminder. The information shared in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this channel. Your health is your most valuable asset. Treat it with the professional care it deserves.